Hello, there we go. You should be able to hear me now, and I'm looking forward to seeing who's about. There we go. So, how is everyone doing this evening? Just waiting to see who turns up. Hello, good to see you, Alan. Welcome. Good to have you with us. Just sorting a slight issue. No bother whatsoever. This one's going to be a shorter one today. Um, Gonna keep it to around about an hour or so in total. Just because of a number of things going on in the background. But I'm just going to try and just sort a little thing in the background. There we go. And it will stop being as pixelated, hopefully. That's about right. There we go. Yes, it's been an interesting couple of weeks, to be honest, this March. And I'll probably repeat myself a little bit when more people come in. But it has. Hello, welcome. Good to have you with us. Yeah, it's been an interesting March for myself. I have taken on far too much work, and because of that, I was basically, until last week, basically feeling very burnt out, honestly. So I've sorted things out, and my first week of April, I have some holiday. So I am really looking forward to that, spending some time with my family, getting away like that. But I've been trying to set up some stuff just so there will be content. So tomorrow, I think many of you will know, it's April Fools. And so I've done a video based on a children's show called Zog. I don't know if any of you are parents or anything like that, but there is a children's program called Zog, and it's all about a dragon, a princess, and a knight. And so tomorrow that's what's going out, and it's hopefully going to be quite entertaining for everyone. And I hope everyone enjoys that one. So that's the video tomorrow is Zog, and that will be quite a lot of fun actually. And then alongside that as well, I've also been sorting out some more Roman videos. Ah, fantastic. Well, Alan, I've actually got some more Northumbrian content coming. I've been writing scripts today, so I'm going to be focusing. I'm trying to do a history of Northumbria from the sort of the start of the early Middle Ages, what many people call the Dark Ages, right the way through till about 1066. So I'm hopefully filming quite a bit of that tomorrow. So what you can't see behind me is I've got my green screen set up, which is why you can see the wonderful Yevering bell just behind me here. And I'm going to be filming with that tomorrow and talking about, early kings of Northumbria. Where did the Northumbrians come from? Talking about some of the kings, some of the famous things that happened. I'm building up a bit of a story there so that there'll be more Anglo-Saxon content on the channel. Because I did a poll a while ago and it came out that you wanted to know about the Anglo-Saxons, the English-Scottish Wars or the Anglo-Scottish Wars during the Middle Ages, and then finally as well the Border Reivers, who are clans of hereditary criminals, if you like, or clans of raiders and pillagers who live on the English and Scottish borders. So that's going to be quite a lot of fun actually for me to do those ones and basically just develop those sort of stories that you can enjoy. So that's one of the things there. So I'm really working on all of those to try and make sure that there is a lot of good content for you guys coming up. Um, Hopefully that will be quite enjoyable. Sorry, I'm just sorting out the chat box, so hopefully it'll be a little bit bigger and I'll be able to see your messages for a little bit longer. So yeah, some of the work I'm currently doing at the minute is working on stuff like the Anglo-Saxon history, reading up on the Border Reivers, reading up on the Anglo-Scottish Wars, and then you've got some 360 degree content coming out soon as well, which I'm really quite excited to see how you react to. So what I've done is I've created some content and I've done some sort of tours of forts of Hadrian's Wall. Uh, Yeah, I'm actually hello Odric and hello Alan again. So yeah, I'm actually descended from one of the Reaver clans as well, the Olivers, from Dumfries and Galloway. So they're one side of my family is the Reavers, and then on the other side of my family, I've got people who lived up in North Northumberland, and I've got family from Wiltshire, all over the place. The Reavers are fascinating. I really enjoy looking at their history. Hi, Odric. Hope you're enjoying it as well. And it's a bit of a spontaneous one. I normally give everyone a bit more information beforehand. Yeah, it may be a couple of months' time before they come out. There's until the end of April, it's going to be Roman content. So I've got some information about some of the forts in the west end of Hadrian's Wall, and I've also got some stuff in the center. So two very famous forts, Housted's Roman Fort and Vindolanda Roman Fort. Near the end of April, there's going to be some of that content coming out as well. Yeah, the Steel Bonnets is a really good book actually. I actually enjoy that one, and I've got it on my shelf as well. So I've got the Steel Bonnets, I've got the stories of the Border Reivers. I'm getting a couple of different sources. I'm going to read through them and then prepare the videos off the back of that one, Tika. Yeah, Tika. Sorry. I like having this chat in this, by the way. I've had to set up in really obscure ways before, but actually being able to see a live chat on the screen, fantastic. Hmm. Yeah, just water today, by the way, near the end of the month, so haven't been able to get beers in, but maybe next month. So yeah, the that's the sort of thing there. I've been really looking into that, and I've got two 360-degree tours, one of Housted's Roman Fort and one of Vindolanda Roman Fort, both which I'm really excited to show off because one's a half-hour long guided tour. Oh, safe journeys, Alan, and have a really good day. It's evening here, but I presume it's the middle of day for you, so have a great one. But yeah, the content that I'm producing for the 360 degree, I'm really excited to see how that works out and how you enjoy it and what you think of it. Because obviously, if you're on a mobile phone or on a tablet or something like that, you'll be able to just pick it up, move it around the room, and you'll be able to follow the tour with me. And I'm dressed in full Roman gear during those. I had a couple of museums as well, but unfortunately, the files got corrupted, which is frustrating. It's just one of the things. If you're making video content, there's always a chance that some stuff may get corrupted or may not transfer to the computer properly, which is frustrating. It just happens sometimes. So, unfortunately, there is. I had Tully House Museum, and that got corrupted. So I'm hopefully going back to them, and I may do some more filming later in the year. No, no, not vodka, Maya. I am definitely not a spirits man. Whiskey does not agree with me at all. It makes me incredibly depressed. Vodka, I do not like the taste of. I like it a little bit. Um, I'm just not a spirits person. Don't really like spirits at all. I'm very much an ale or a beer. No bother whatsoever for the live chats. As always, by the way, I know there's currently 6 of you watching. So if you've got any questions, just chuck them on and I'll read them because I'm really keen to see what you're thinking, what you enjoyed, if you'd like to discuss the content I've made. A lot of the stuff you've watched, the Anglo-Saxon content that's just come out over the last month, I filmed it last summer. So that was all done over 2 or 3 days. 2 days, I think. I filmed it. I went up to Yevering Bell. I went up to the Ad Geffren, and I filmed there. And when they open the Ad Geffren Centre in Northumberland, so they're opening a whiskey distillery called Ad Geffren, which is the first English whiskey distillery, I believe. And I'm gonna go up there because they've got an Anglo-Saxon centre there as well, which will be really cool to see. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm also planning, hopefully in September, to go up to the Lindisfarne digs because for the last few years they've been digging at Lindisfarne, And I would like to do some videos on Lindisfarne talking about the Viking raids and just showing you Lindisfarne and all of those places too. So I have got stuff planned in the future, but there's a combination of things there that I need to get right. Um, the other thing as well, I always like to point out is that in September I'm actually starting my masters. So I'm doing a master's in archaeology. So hopefully I'll have access to more information as well. And with that as well, I'll be balancing my studies with making videos, with doing tours and all of that as well. Um, Been a really, really good month for tours, to be honest. I've had some lovely, lovely visitors. Just yesterday, I was doing a half-day Roman tour with two lovely Americans who were absolutely delightful. And so it's been good. I had actually 7 days of back-to-back tours, full-day tours as well, which was just exhausting, but really good fun. So it's looking up, especially after COVID. Really nice to have it going again. But I'm monologuing a wee bit. So what I'll do is I'll give you a chance to write any questions you've got. I'll drink some water, and you guys just tell me, what your questions, what your thoughts on some of the content that's come out, what you're thinking about, or any questions you have. Now I watched the viewer count just disappear. No, I'm joking. You're all still here. Mhm, mhm. While you're writing your questions and stuff, there was a really funny moment when I was filming the Housestead's Roman Fort tour. So I'm producing it twice. So I've got one in normal 4K, which is just like you're viewing right now, and then I've got a second one which is in 360, so you can walk around the fort and you can see it all like that as well. But while I was walking from place to place in the fort, I found myself, Odric, you're considering a name in archaeology. Well, I don't know what I've got myself in for. I just know that I'm reading so many archaeological papers. I'm enjoying the books. I'm doing all the studies. I decided I'd do it as well. So for me, that was a big push to do it. And also because of my profession as a tour guide, so often people think of tour guides as someone with just an umbrella. Um, yeah. Oh, I'll talk about that in a second, Ivanich. And welcome, by the way. It's good to have you here. Um, while I was walking, so when I'm doing tour guiding, people just think of it as someone with an umbrella, and when they think of it as someone with an umbrella walking around the place, they don't view tour guiding in always the most like positive sense. And so because of that, I just thought, well, I want a piece of paper to prove what I know. And so that's a big incentive for me. So that's why I wanted to go back and do a master's in archaeology and then see where it led. And if it opens up other work and stuff like that, then I'll love it as well. The wooden Roman theatre. Does the Mailman's Trail still exist? So I'll answer that in 1 second, Odric, because it does, and I actually filmed there, and I'll mention it in a second. But the wooden Roman theatre is quite cool. Yeah, the grandstand, as it was called by 1 second. Sorry, I'm having a total moment now, and I've forgotten his name, which is terrible. I do apologise. Brian Hope Taylor. Sorry about that, everyone. Occasionally, I do have those moments, especially more so when I'm tired. So that's something there. So yeah, the Brian Hope Taylor call it a grandstand, and it's really interesting, obviously, because it was doubled in size later in its history. So it went from 160 to 300. Sorry, about 300 odd seats, over 300 seats. So it's a really impressive construction and is very similar to those Roman amphitheaters. It's not an amphitheater because an amphitheater would be like a half circle, but it's not. So it's a very interesting one about presenting information to groups of people coming in from all over, which is really cool. Yeah, Brian Hope Taylor. Uh, um, Does the Mailman Trail still exist? So the Mailman Trail does exist, and if you go into my prehistoric series where I did about um, Stone Age, Bronze Age, and Iron Age, Northumberland, I actually filmed at the Mailman Trail, and I did one there. But the only thing that you can really see is there is a Iron Age. Well, there's an Anglo-Saxon house that exists there still, and there's the henge with the standing wooden posts that still exists. But unfortunately, the Mesolithic house has actually it doesn't exist anymore. It's collapsed, so it doesn't exist. But there is still some cool stuff at Mailman, and I hope that they do some more work there in the future. Will I do any expeditions in continental Europe? I do want to do some expeditions in continental Munich. I plan to go across to continental Europe in the first week in August. I'll be going across to Nijmegen, to the Oriental Museum in Nijmegen for the Late Roman event. So I'll be joining a group of late Roman reenactors in Nijmegen, and I may do some filming over there. I don't know. I've got to chat to the event organizer and see if it's all right. But I do want to go across there. I've got some good friends in the Netherlands and some other people as well who I want to go across and see. And there's a group of us British Roman reenactors going across to have an experience there. So that'll be great fun there. And I hope that that will build better ties because I'm wanting to show more history all over the place. Whether or not I'll film while I'm there is another matter, but I'm definitely going across the continent, and there's a few places I'd love to visit. So like some of the reconstructions in Denmark are amazing. I'd love to go and see them, and I want to do some stuff up in Scotland as well. There's some really cool stuff being built. They're building a broch, which is an Iron Age. It's almost like a castle, but they kind of look like pine cones in the landscape. And these are these Iron Age houses, pardon me, sorry, that occurred in northern Scotland. So I want to go up and see the brochs up there in northern Scotland at some point, and they're rebuilding one. But my passion would be to obviously to reconstruct many of these sites so that people can experience them, visit them, it's more tactile. But until then, I'll make the videos. I'll take people to places where they are reconstructed. Pardon me. And tell the stories as I can. But yeah, that's my plan. Mm. But yeah, I really enjoyed the last series as well. I enjoy most stuff I make. But the last series, it was just so rewarding being able to be there. And there was also a group of archaeologists from Durham University who were digging at the site. Um, You live amongst the Jutes. All right, so the northern part of Denmark. So would that be towards Aarhus and up northern Denmark way? I mean, I did a little bit in. Hello, Diego. Welcome to the party. Um, I did my Erasmus in Copenhagen, and one of my biggest regrets is that my friends, when I was out there, weren't really bothered in history, so I never went to the museum in Copenhagen, and I would have loved to go in there because you've got some amazing Iron Age finds in the museum in Copenhagen. Um, oh, thank you, Diego. Um, I mean, they're all there. One of the things I always say to people who watch my channel is that if you have enjoyed any of the content, it's great. And at your own leisure, feel free to watch what you like and just interact in the comments because it's really good fun. And it's been fun since January seeing how the channel's grown by 300 people. I know I'm still very small YouTube standard wise. 1,300 is nothing. But the fact you're here, the fact you're chatting, it means a lot. And if you've got any questions, these are the reason why I do these. I'm going to always try and keep to one monthly live stream. As I mentioned earlier, March has been one heck of a month, and so doing March, getting it out the way, I'm really glad to be finished with that. And I hope to schedule in April's a little bit better, and just to plan forwards and then go from there. But yeah, as I was saying, I love visiting museums. Yesterday, actually, when I was doing my half-day Roman tours, I had an epiphany moment because I was looking at one of the cases, and there were a load of brooches, Now, brooches are just pins basically that you used for your cloak in the past or for your clothing. And so many people, like they don't value brooches as such, but I think they're amazing because they're personal items that people have chosen to have as their own thing that they wore. And I just was able to tell from the first century right the way through to the fifth when each one fitted into the timeline, and turn to my customers and go, this one was this weird period, this one was another. And it was just such a pleasure for me. So like stuff like that really means like it's fun when you get to do that and look at national museums. National Museum of Denmark is the best museum I've ever visited. I've heard a lot of good stuff about it. I like the way Scandinavian museums are set out. I find Dutch museums a little bit artsy. I found when I was over in the Netherlands and I visited the museums there, they mixed a lot of art alongside the history, and their interpretation panels needed a little bit more work. At least maybe the museum was more of an art museum than a history museum, but I always think that interpretation panels are so important for people in a museum, like explanations with the little bits of information saying this is how it could have been used, this is what it was. That sort of stuff is so important. But Scandinavian museums seem to really do it well. Dutch museums are good, obviously, but I find them a wee bit arty. British museums, it's a six and two threes, which is an expression you'll hear me saying a lot, which means, some of this, some of that. Um, it's a difficult one because some British museums are fantastic and they really try and bring people on the journey and explain what the items are and stuff like that. Others are very traditional. And what they do is they just have a plaque and they'll say third century pottery, or they'll just say Roman pottery. And that's all the description you get. Or they'll say, Anglo-Saxon brooch found in grave. And you're like, well, when? The Anglo-Saxon period goes from the 5th century right the way through to the 11th century. When is it? Tell me more information. And so that's some of the things that I really think that some museums could do some more work on, is looking at the stuff in the museum, going through the finds and saying, right, okay, this item here is this. Maybe that's something that can be done with a little bit more time and effort, and QR codes, like hovering a QR code over a find. So let's say you have all the numbers. So the finds have little tiny little plaques next to them that say the number. And then you could hover a QR code to your mobile phone over, and then someone from the museum would pop up and go, this is a such and such. This is a Bronze Age beaker. It was made in about 2200 BC. Da 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 da. That sort of stuff is where the technology can go now, and it's not too hard. You know, I film my stuff on a GoPro. Any one of you, if you've got a smartphone, can film information now in the palm of your hand. So I think that museums could do a lot of good stuff there. Centre of Jutland, 10 miles out from the Tolman Mand. Albert Man. Mosgard Museum and Holder. Oh, now Ilup Aldal is amazing. I mean, I've got the book on my shelf of Ilup Aldal because of the just the amazing stuff that came out of the ground there. I'm just seeing if I can see it. Yeah, that site. I mean, anyone else in the chat, if you don't know Ilup Aldal, hold on one second. There we go. And oops, the green screen. Uh-huh. Hold on one moment. As they say in The Wizard of Oz, ignore the man behind the screen. That'll do. Yeah, so Ilup Ardal is just amazing. If you're in the chat, this is the book, and it's an amazing. I think it's like is it second to third century sacrificial site, and it's got a load of both Iron Age Germanic finds in it, and also Roman finds in it as well, which suggests that many of the Germanic peoples were fighting both for the Roman side and also they had their own factories and stuff like that too. But like because of the boggy conditions, the wood didn't rot away. Really amazing site. So just to show you, that's an example of the Illerup Ardal finds in Denmark. Um, Really, really amazing place to have a look at and to study that side of history. And it's like the archaeology. I mean, archaeology is always better where you have really boggy sites because wood doesn't rot in boggy sites. It doesn't have the oxygen. So like this sort of stuff. This is a sword handle. You get that in places like Ilra, and so like that's why it's so cool. And Roman Vindolanda is another wonderful example where you have a very boggy conditions has meant that wood and stuff like that and cloth and fabric have actually survived too. Up here in the north of England, we're quite fortunate. There are more boggy sites because it's more mountainous and or more cold and wet in contrast to, let's say, the southeast. So stuff like that is awesome. And hopefully, as more archaeology is done, we'll find more because, Hadrian's Wall is only 10% excavated. Anglo-Saxon sites are so poorly excavated, and Iron Age sites, I mean, like the hill forts, barely touched barely touched. So I'm really hopeful with the fact that archaeology is moving so advanced now, where we're able to find, carbon dates, we're able to analyze Earth for soil, the soil to see where wooden posts were. We're living in the future, and on a daily basis, technology is advancing, so we can do some really cool stuff going forwards. Um, yeah, yeah. Army of 1,000 warriors was killed. Archaeology and curator here, 100% text panels are crucial. Yeah, if I've said anything offensive, May, I don't mean it, by the way. It's not having a go at curators because I know how hard your jobs are as well. Um, worth renting the audio supplements. Yeah, that's a good point. And also, I realize that, like in Britain, we have a lot of free museums, whereas I think most of the museums in the Netherlands, I experienced, were pay-for museums. So maybe I didn't pay for the experience properly. So I paid for my ticket, but I should have bought the audio guide as well. That would have helped a lot. Yeah, but the Ilra Bardal wasn't it a continuous sacrificial site? I thought it was more of a over a longer period, or am I thinking of a different site as well? I thought that was a long-term sacrificial point. But then again, all across Europe, watery sites for the pre-Roman period, and also on the other side of the Roman Empire, outside the Roman Empire, watery sites were very important for sacrifice. I mean, sacrifice is a very big thing throughout history. Fosburg Mill, that's the one. Yeah, yeah. Mm. The Nidam, yeah, Nidam, Fosburg Mill, and Ilarbardal is the sort of the holy trinity of Germanic sites. I mean, my Roman sword that I use for Roman reenactment is a combination of those sort of sites there, and is made from stuff like Ilarbardal and things like that. It's over in the corner of my office, actually. Yeah. Hmm. But that's yeah. I'm excited. And one of the things I've been reading a lot of at the minute is I'm trying to read an archaeology report for North Northumberland, and that North Northumberland site is really interesting. So it's like the area behind me is called the Millfield Basin. It's where you've obviously got the Evering Bell Hill Fort, which is the largest hill fort in Northumberland, and then directly below it you've got the Anglo-Saxon royal palace of Ardgeffryn. But that whole valley has stuff from the Mesolithic, so we're looking at about 11,000 years ago, about 9,000 BC, right the way through to the modern age, obviously. So it's not been very well excavated due to the fact that it's so hard to get stuff up there. And in the future, I'd love to be involved in some archaeological digs on hill forts because we know almost nothing on the Iron Age Britons. You know, until like, well, 70 odd years ago, even after the Second World War, some school books said that the Iron Age Britons still lived in caves. And we're seeing now that there was a really colourful culture in that area, and I want to read more. Roman reenactment group, about 50 people, all doing 39, as in like 39 AD, or is it 390 and you've accidentally missed a zero? If you could fill me in on that, that'd be great. Or what the name of the group is, because I'm always interested in chatting to other people as well. Ah, Diego. Hello. Do you two know each other, or are you just being nice? I like it if you're all being nice. That's class. Ah, good, Mara. I'm really glad because I wouldn't want to cause any offense to any of you. It's like I really appreciate the fact that you're even giving me your time and being here and chatting to me. Because this feedback helps me improve what I do. 39 AD. Okay. So you're doing Republican. No, wait, no. It would be still Roman Empire at that point, wouldn't it? Yeah. So you're doing Roman Empire, rather, and early Roman Empire, first century. Oh, that's quite cool. You do get a lot of a disproportionate weight towards the first century, but I'm very much a third, fourth, fifth century. I love that, and because you see much more of a mixing pot of cultures and stuff like that, and it's much harder to find as well. Everyone wants to dig down to the Hadrianic or to the first century and get all the nice, Caesar and Augustus and all of those early emperors, Nero, Trajan, no, well, Trajan's second, but like, or just second century. But everyone wants that first century stuff and the early second century. I love the later period because that's when you really start seeing the interesting mixing of cultures and ideas. And yeah, I'm a big fan of that. And also, I'm fascinated with the early Middle Ages, what was called the Dark Ages. I just love them because it's like, you know, the structure of the empire, the bureaucracy is all gone, and now it's like trying to figure everything out again, you know. And we're discovering so much more because obviously in the Victorian period or like the 19th century, there was so much of a racial focus on things. It was English, French, German, and that was because the big empires and all of that sort of stuff. Um, have we reached this old? Ooh, Vendalara. Well, if you could send a link to that, or if you'd like to drop me an email with any pictures, I love looking at stuff like that because it's such an amazing period, and like I would love to see that because Bonholm obviously is where the Burgundians eventually came from. They obviously their migration resulted in them becoming the Burgundians, that famous sort of like amazing culture between France and Germany that lasted into the Middle Ages. So please do send images of that stuff. But yeah, I was Kirk Newton. I think I have the stone one. Early medieval carving at the church of Kirk Newton near Wooler. I need to look that up. I know which one you're on about, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Um, but yeah, there's some really cool stuff out there. I know the ones out towards where is it? Towards Cumbria a little bit better. One sec. Yeah, so I know more of the ones out towards Cumbria, the sort of the Viking Age ones, slightly better. But I will definitely look out for that at Kirk Newton because I go up there quite regularly, and I do love the stuff at Kirk Newton. Actually, there's a nice visitor centre up there as well. So if there's an early medieval carving there, also, Bamborough Castle in Northumberland has recently done a really good job of redoing their museum displays. So they've put all of their sort of like medieval and also Anglo-Saxon work there. And in a case, they have three pattern welded swords. And like pattern welded swords are amazing. It's like if you can imagine like when women plait their hair, or guys as well, when you plait your hair, and if you've got hair long enough, I don't obviously, and you get a ponytail, it's like that with bars of metal, and like they are a big deal. Like they're really high status items, and Bambra has three of them, and they've just got them in the case, and they're just like early medieval sword, and I'm just like, that is a pattern welded blade. That is quite special. But it's just funny how some museums see some things as important and others don't. But Bambara make a big deal of their gold work. They've got some amazing gold work in Bambara, which is really nice. Especially the Bambara Beast. It's a piece of gold work the size of your fingernail, and it's beautiful. So you know that these people in the early medieval period had some amazing skills, really, really good skills, and they were able to produce some beautiful stuff. So yeah, that's the sort of thing there. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of reading about prehistoric at the minute, alongside rereading all my Anglo-Saxon material, producing some Anglo-Saxon stuff in the background that hopefully will be out in May. Um, and also I'm going to do an Easter video on Eosta, the Anglo-Saxon goddess of Easter. Not too much to say, but I'll still do it. Meningilis. Ah, yes. Yeah, yeah, no, I think I know what you're on about. Yes, it would be the Magi, definitely, because kilts is a bit of an interesting one. Obviously, kilts do exist, but we don't see. It's quite an interesting one. The Scottish item, the kilt, is actually more closely related, or at least its historical version is more closely related to a cloak than it is related to a skirt. Um, Quite interesting because they were kind of worn like togas, where you'd wrap it around your body, and they really start off quite early on. There's some quite cool stuff there where it's like really long toga-like garments where you'd wrap it around your waist and your body, and it would keep you warm. But the modern kilt is definitely a Victorianism in every way, shape, and form. Because they were invented to entertain Queen Victoria, and the Book of Tartans was done by two Swiss men who produced them and showed them off to Queen Victoria to show her the variety of the Celtic races of her empire. Can you tell I'm a wee bit skeptical towards the Victorians? I love their industrialism. Just struggle with everything else. Oops. Has anyone else been like researching or reading anything interesting lately that they think is quite cool and they'd like to sort of meant to start a topic on or anything like that? I'll give everyone a chance to sort of type and stuff for a moment. Don't know if you noticed, but in some of these streams I fidget a little, and it's just because, like, obviously I'm just sat here in my office talking to all of you, waiting for you to chat and stuff like that. So I fill the silence by fidgeting, and so I hope that's not too distracting for you as viewers. Oh yeah, I got distracted earlier, but when I was doing the Housesteads filming, when I was walking between various sites, I found myself humming the Jurassic Park theme, which I found quite hilarious. So when you watch the Housesteads one, as I'm walking between places, I'm just like, so it just chuckles me. Wrong period, obviously. Dinosaurs, not Romans, but all the same, all good fun. Mm. So yeah, what obviously I've mentioned before earlier on, like I've got a Roman series coming out. I'm doing an Anglo-Saxon series, which I'm going to be filming some episodes of tomorrow. Join late, but have you heard about the 65 early medieval braves? Yes, now this is a really interesting one. So I've read a little bit about this. I believe it's on the west of Britain, and it's mostly focusing on early British kings down. Is it Devon and Cornwall way, if I've remembered correctly? I haven't been able to read the full article because I just haven't had time yet. But I understand that it's down in Devon and Cornwall, focusing on British kings, that sort of stuff like that. I think that it'll be quite interesting, but at the same time, It will be more interesting if they find skeletons for isotopes, DNA, and that sort of stuff, because it'd be really interesting for me to find out, these British, these Welsh kings and stuff like that, how many of them were, you know, if they were post-Roman, if they had Roman DNA, if they were, all of these sort of things, those questions that we don't often get to ask. I'd be very surprised if there's any grave goods, because, they would have been Christian. Oh, well, it's very likely that they're Christian. So it's because of the fact that the Roman Empire converted. So there won't be grave goods. You won't find them buried with swords or belts and stuff like that. They'll be wrapped in in a white cloth and buried in a grave. And there's that sort of, with Christian burials from that period, there's an anonymity in death, which is, obviously because all are equal in Christ. So you don't find what you find with the Germanic and other pagan burials, where you find, like, in the Viking Age, long ships, or Sutton Hoo burial, who is possibly Vendel, like from southern Sweden. Those huge, ships and stuff like that, or gold swords and stuff like that. Though interesting enough, in South Wales, they have just found a burial of a late Roman soldier, they think, who has a sword, possibly being buried with a sword and other fittings as well. So again, is that a Germanic, Germanic foederati or auxiliary, who is in the late Roman period in Wales, who's being buried with all of his kit, which would be quite exciting, because if it is sword and sword fittings, that will be one of the few late Roman swords discovered in Britain. Proto-Greeks and Proto-Albanians in a journey from leaving the Yamna tribe to their future homelands. Not much out there, though. Afraid that it's really hard sometimes, because it depends on your country's academics. I don't know too much about that. I really don't. Again, I what I know is through a British lens, and what I know is through, like, looking at the British Isles. Sadly, outside of, like, Western Europe, where there's the interactions with the British Isles, so like the Netherlands, Germany, Scandinavia, even like Gaul or France as it is today, that's my knowledge base. I'm afraid, southern Europe, I just don't have those areas of expertise. So like Albania and Greece, I wouldn't know. I mean, even now, I believe the research of the idea of the two migrations into Greece, because they believe that was it the initial Greeks, and then there was the Doric Greeks, or is it the Doric Greeks and then the other Greeks come in? But I know that one of them, there was a mythology that, like the Spartans and the Athenians were of two different ethnic groups, and that led to their conflicts. Um, more I'm sure there will be a good bit of sensationalism surrounding them, lol. I thought that whatever the archaeology was able to decipher, bringing up a bit more light to the early Demonian West Country. Yeah, I know. That would be really cool, because the thing is that obviously Demonia, or like the southwest of the country. So you've got Devon, Cornwall, Wiltshire, all of those areas there. That's where you find the really large villas, though there are some good villas in Yorkshire as well, especially in sort of like East Yorkshire. But the big villas seem to be in the southwest. Now, if we refer to people like the Venerable Bede or Gildas, they make out the whole country is destroyed, and that there is a migration, or a fleeing of refugees across to America, which then gets renamed as Brittany, because there are so many Britons that leave. Hello, Baron Badger. Welcome. Fantastic name, by the way. Um, some of you I recognize from the comments, by the way. Some of you I don't. So I feel I have a relationship with some of you. Others of you just getting to know. So drop your comments. Let's chat. And yeah, it's always good if you put a comments in the videos below, because I get to know you ready for the live events. But yeah, coming back to that other one, the southwest, Devon, Cornwall, Wiltshire, they are refugees across to Brittany, and then in Brittany, well, it's America then becomes Brittany, which is a really interesting sort of development, isn't it? Um, so I would be interested to know the people who are staying. Who are they? Are they Roman officials, Roman military men who are then taking over? Do they have ancestry or genetics from other parts of the empire? So are they like Spanish? Are they like Romanian? Are they, where have they come from? and to form the kingships. But also alongside this as well, we know that Wales and the south of Britain also had Irish migration, and there's good evidence to suggest that the Irish were hired as soldiers in the late Roman period for the Welsh and the Devon and Cornwall regions. So is it like tribal chiefs who are then, you know, Britishizing? They are going from being Irish to British Romans, and so they fit in, and they become as Roman as the Romans. They learn Latin, they convert to Christianity, they wear Roman clothing, but they're genetically Irish. That's some of the interesting stuff that could come out of that burials of those early British kings. And we'll find out a lot of information, and we'll find out that we need to know more, that there will be more answers, more questions, and there will be more, so some answers, more questions. That's the fun of archaeology, because we're not dealing with, you know, pure facts. We're dealing with information, and we have information in front of us that has to be interpreted. The Dorics come later. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. I didn't know which way around the migration was. Really good to know that. Again, as I say, Southern and Eastern Europe, I have, and by the way, I'm not logging them together. I'm just saying my knowledge of Southern Europe and my knowledge of Eastern Europe is a lot weaker than my knowledge of Western and Northern Europe. Um, Obviously, because of the fact that I'm British, our history is a lot more focused on the countries around us. So I know a lot more about Scandinavia. I know a lot more about, the North Sea coast of Europe. A little bit of French, I know French history because of Romans. I know a little bit of Italian history, but again, it's through the Roman lens, and a tiny, tiny bit of Spanish history through European history as well. But my knowledge is predominantly British and Northern European. So apologies if you ask me a question and you're like, tell us all about, the third millennium BC in Turkey, and I'll be like, ask another question, please. And we'll see. Yeah, so that's one there. So yeah, really cool and interesting stuff coming ahead. I'm excited about the Welsh one, obviously, with that late Roman soldier. I'm excited about this British burial ground that they're excavating. They're continuing the digs at Bird Oswald Roman Fort this year, so I'll be interested in seeing that. Interested to see the Lindisfarne digs and what information comes out of that. And I'll just keep my nose to the ground and just see what other archaeology comes up, because if needs be, I can just jump into a car and go down. I'm planning to go to York in June for the Roman Festival in York, which will be the 25th and 26th of June. So I plan to be down there, and so maybe I'll do some filming in York in my spare time. Yeah, no, yeah. Thanks for your understanding, Yaz. Oh, Yaz the cookie thief. Gotcha. What was your favorite part of Hadrian's Wall walk? Well, I could jokingly say walking into the car park at Segadunum Roman Fort because I knew I was finished. Um, It's a bit of an interesting one. So if you're watching it, there's currently going out every Wednesday is the 1 hour section. So I walked for 1 hour straight with the camera just recording, and I then split it into, I think, 8 videos, all of which are about 8 minutes long. I think that was my favorite section. It was just really beautiful. It was lovely. The weather was good. I was meeting people along the way. That was the part I loved the most. The parts in Cumbria, there's sections that you'll never see, and the reason why is because I look miserable and in pain, and I got some of my kit wrong on the first day, and my carrying stick was way too heavy, and it did my shoulder a little bit. It hurt me, so I needed to readjust it. So that's why you don't see the carrying stick in the day 2 and day 3 videos. Um, I haven't visited Norway yet, no. Odric, I really need to visit Norway and Sweden. And those reconstructed Viking Age halls are really interesting. Um, because I'd love to see them. It'd be really cool. But again, obviously, I just haven't been to Norway yet. I visited Sweden, as in passing through, when I studied in Denmark, but I've never went up to Norway. Dan Davies. I don't think I do. Dan Davies is. One sec, Dan Davies. Who is that? I'm copying and pasting his name into YouTube so I can have a quick look at the channel and then know who it is. Hmm. Oh, now that looks a very fun one. No, he's been suggested to me. Yeah, he's been suggested to me, so I know of his stuff in passing, but I have not actually watched any of his content. That will be really interesting. Mead Hall. Is that the one in Denmark? One sec. Is it Oh, I thought I had it on my thing. No, that's the Castle Great Hall. No, I thought I had it as one of my backgrounds. Oh, British historical fiction writer. Yeah, so I'll look into his stuff. Um, yeah, I'll look into his stuff there. Hmm. Ivanovich. Is that the one in Denmark you're talking about? The really big one recently opened by the Danish royal family, which is brand new. Because that's really cool. Yes, that's one I definitely want to visit because I actually use that background on occasionally when I'm in Zoom meetings because it's so fascinating. And like I look at the example of that one in Roskilde as an example of what they should be building in this field behind me. Like once they've done some more excavation digs, they should sit down and they should really build something like that on this site because that's what we need up in this area is to get a grip of what those halls look like at places like Yevering and stuff like that. I apologize if you can hear some background sounds. My daughter is just going to bed and she's just having a little moment. 40 million Danish kroner. Now, if I remember, it was 10 Danish kroner to 1 British pound, so I'm hoping that that's 4 million pounds, unless the exchange rate's changed. Is it still 10 to 1? I'm trying to remember. I remember a pack of salmon cost 100, or was it 1,000 kroner? So I'm trying to remember from when I was there, and that was definitely it. What do you think was the greatest Roman emperor and why? Oh, I don't know. Was that the one associated with Herod? It could easily be the one associated with Herod. I'll go to the Roman emperor question. I personally, when people ask me this question, people find my answer a little bit funny. I honestly think that I couldn't say that any of the Roman emperors were good. I think that we look at them through rose-tinted spectacles, but every one of them was a tyrannical ruler. Now the way you should always measure a ruler is some links. Go through the comments. I have listed several links. No, about 1 Great Pound. Oh, 8.5 Danish kroner. Cool. The way to actually measure any ruler from the past is what was the life of their subjects like. So were living standards improved? Did people have security? Were they safe from violence? Someone like Marcus Aurelius comes out pretty good because the empire was stable, economically viable. He protected the frontiers, but then again, loads of Roman soldiers died because they had to fight in wars, but they were defensive wars. So rather than offensive wars, he fought defensive wars to protect the empire. So if you look by him, comes out pretty good amongst the emperors. I'm trying to think other emperors who come out pretty good. Augustus is a difficult one. Augustus did a lot more evil than he made out he did. But I think Marcus Aurelius comes out pretty high. even though it's a difficult one. Obviously, most of you know I'm a practicing Christian, so I like Diocletian for bringing stability, but at the same time, Diocletian like burnt 4 or 5 popes to death, and persecuted Christians and went through the empire, killing anyone who wasn't an adherent to Roman paganism. So he doesn't come out good for the benefit to his subjects or as a nice man. Um, a lot of the Baroque emperors were pretty bad. Even Constantine the Great, who seems to have been like a beneficial emperor in some ways, was pretty brutal. So I would say they all come out pretty bad. But Marcus Aurelius is there for me as the one who brought the most benefit to the empire. Though sometimes I'd even say in the period of civil war, the emperors who just were focused on fighting each other and let everyone live their lives normally, then that's the way I'd go to it. I'm just looking down at the comment section. Odric, just go through the list of comments. I have left several links. Cool. Is that comments in this one or comments in the chats? Because of the Swedes do not believe so. They think Beowulf was a Swedish. Well, the funny thing I find about Beowulf is an English story. I'm going to be controversial here. When you look at Beowulf, right, it's not Trajan, Vespasian, Hadrian. They're all pretty horrible guys. Yeah, I don't think highly of Trajan, Vespasian, or Hadrian. Trajan and Hadrian don't rank highly because their personal lives in my manner, and the reason why is, Hadrian was a paedophile. I've said it. He's not a nice man at all. He kidnaps a young Greek boy, and then yeah, he's not a nice guy at all. And also, he was a genocidal maniac who killed 600,000 Jews and 500,000 Britons during his reign. So yeah, again, not really ranking Hadrian high. Vespasian was a battle commander. I need to look more, but he had relatively short reign, so he didn't do as much good as he could have done, but was very much a military commander. Trajan, again, war leader and glory hound. So searched out glory, overextended the empire, and because of that, when he overextended the empire, it caused for instability that Hadrian had to deal with. I do not see the links being posted, but they are here. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. For some reason, they aren't being posted. I don't know if that's something that I have to sort out. Um, so I don't see a way for me to allow links to be seen. I'm just having a look through. Yeah, I am really sorry about that. I can't see any links. That's annoying. If you want to send me the links via email or something like that, that would be good. But I'll only access my emails. Whoops, sorry. After I finish the stream. So yeah, that's one of the things there. So sorry about that. Um, what was I saying as well? Yeah, so Beowulf. So there's a theory that Beowulf was actually written in Hexham in Northumberland, because when you look at the land described in Beowulf, the theory is that Beowulf was a folk story. And obviously, it was one that was common to Scandinavia and Northern Europe, and it was well known. But it was kind of like, yeah, follow me on Facebook and then drop me a message in that, and I will respond back to you. Yeah, but it was a folk story, so it was kind of like a blockbuster film. So I'm gonna let's go back to Jurassic Park. So most of you will have watched Jurassic Park and the follow-on films, and you'll remember them really fondly. And it's like they're big stories that people enjoy and they enjoy watching and that sort of stuff. So when you have these films, the stories back then were exactly the same. They were blockbusters, and you would sit down and you'd get someone really skilled to tell them. And it seems that maybe a noble or an aristocrat wanted to have a written copy of Beowulf, so he commissions a monastery to actually write Beowulf down for him. And then the monks, when they're writing it down, they're doing it as a side commission. So they're getting paid a little bit of extra money to do it alongside the Bibles and the illuminated manuscripts that they normally do. And the landscape they describe is very similar to the landscape of Northumberland with the rolling hills and stuff like that, rather than what you see in Denmark. You don't see those sort of lands. Denmark is a flat land. And so the story of Beowulf, it's thought to have been like originally a Scandinavian story, but then it's written in Britain, so the landscape you see there. And also there's heavy Christian overtones in Beowulf. And so again, you wouldn't find that within a Danish 8th century context, possibly, or a sort of a Danish context from that sort of period, because it would just be like too Christian, and obviously back then they weren't Christian yet. So that's my personal opinion. I'll definitely be all right. Ivanich, by the way, your message has come through, so I'll look at that after the stream. So it's just popped up in my ears now, so I know it's there. Does anyone want to fight me on that one, or to put forward a different argument or anything like that? Because that's my view of Beowulf, at least. That it's a trans the story has been transmitted and written down in Britain, and that's why we see the differences to how the land and the stuff is like that. Yeah. Because if I'm correct, Beowulf is a Get, isn't he? Which is a Swedish tribe as well. It's all a bit complex. Nothing is simple in the past. Hmm. We'll do the last couple of questions, everyone, but it's around about 9 o'clock. Normally I'd start at 7, but I just wanted to come on this month. As I mentioned at the start of the stream, this month has been a pretty hectic one for me. And so because of that, this evening I don't actually have the time to do a full 2-hour stream that I would normally do. So why don't we do an extra 10 or so minutes of final questions, things like that, any comments you'd like to give to me, and then we'll wrap it up and we'll draw the stream to a close. But as always, it's been class chatting to you all and just being able to share information and talk about the stuff that I've made and what I'm going to be doing. Great Get from the area around Gothenburg. All right. Yeah, it's interesting. Again, I'll probably be rereading Beowulf as a part of my early medieval studies that I'll be doing at university, because I want to do a few modules in the Anglo-Saxon period. So obviously I'll need to reread Beowulf, as well as obviously everything else I'm doing. Guided tours, university studies, YouTube. I try and have an easy life. It's a total joke, by the way. I don't have an easy. Well, I try and make sure I have a challenging life. That I'm constantly doing something fun and learning. So I love that. You're welcome. I mean, I know this is as face to face as it gets for many people, but that's why I enjoy it, because every month if I do this, then as the channel grows, you get to know me, you get to feedback, I get to know what you're enjoying. Because like at the moment, because I've done the Hadrian's Wall walk, because I've done the additional filming, I'm Romaned out. You might go, oh yeah, we're really enjoying Alex's Roman content. I want to get away from it for a bit. I want to do some Anglo-Saxon, other stuff like that, and then we'll go from there. The next stream, I want it to be at the end of April. I need to sit down with my family and have a conversation as to when it could be. I have a date in mind, but I need to talk to my family just so it works. What are you currently reading? What I'm currently reading, Eagle Has Fallen, I'm reading the Managing Archaeological Landscapes in Northumberland Till Tweed Studies Volume 2, which is prehistoric Northumberland from the Ice Age right the way through to the Roman occupation and into the what's called the Roman Iron Age, because it's the land north of Hadrian's Wall is obviously not in the Roman Empire, but is affected by it. So that's what I'm reading then. And I'm also reading alongside of that a little book on the Border Reivers, so it's just a wee introduction. So I'm reading that, and I'm also reading. Well, I could show you a pile of Anglo-Saxon books. Pile of Anglo-Saxon books there. What am I studying at university? So I'm going back to university in September. Newcastle University. I'll be studying archaeology, a master's in archaeology. But my undergraduate was in politics and sociology, and then I did a master's in business innovation. So I'll be having, a real mix of letters after my name. But I decided after 10 years it was time to go back to uni. You can never leave the Roman Empire, but no, the Roman Empire does leave you. How's that one? You can never leave the Roman Empire because they leave all of their crap behind. No, yeah, they leave fantastic archaeological levels, and after all, archaeology is digging through other people's rubbish. So you can't leave the Roman Empire, but the Roman Empire can leave you, as Britain felt hard. I love Anglo-Saxon stuff. I'm visiting Sutton Hoo in July when they have event with Wolf and Diaz. Yeah, I kind of want to meet Wolf and DS. I've chatted to a couple of their members through 2 degrees or 3 degrees of separation. I know them because I've got some mates who do work with them and stuff like that. I respect them no end. Um, they're interesting. One or two of them do Anglo-Saxon, but most of them do like a Vendel period, and that's when some of the things I think people get confused. Yeah, yeah, he has the cookie thief. Thank you. I do appreciate that. Yeah, so Wolfendeas is a really interesting group. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, but yeah, they are amazing. Another group that I always suggested to people as well to look at is the Thanes of Mercia. Thane is in Anglo-Saxon lord, but Thanes of Mercia is another really good group who I'd almost say are on the same level as Wolfendeas. And they do some amazing work, and their blogs are fantastic. One sec, I'll see if I can pull it into the chat. Yes. Yeah, so the Fiends of Mercia, they are amazing. And I would definitely say they are, if you're wanting to look at Anglo-Saxon stuff, their only problem obviously is that they are Mercian and therefore not as good as Northumbrians. Northumbrians are obviously the best Anglo-Saxons in every way, shape, and form, and anyone who says otherwise is wrong. Am I letting my regionalism show there? I don't know, but yeah, if anyone here is from Mercia, please understand I'm joking. But yes, the yeah, that's I'm obviously very passionate about my Northumbrian Anglo-Saxon history. They are really good. Thanes of Mercia, Wolf Indias, and there's some other really good up and coming groups as well. But I think reenactment within the Dark Ages is heavily weighted towards the Vikings, and so it's mostly it's ninth, 10th, 11th century is where it's really heavily weighted to. So because of that, you don't get the good 5th, 6th, 7th century stuff. That's really, really cool. The Jutes and for Kent. Ooh, I won't comment. Uh, Obviously, I jokingly call Kent New France, but I'll leave that to you there. Um, but no, the Jutes down in Kent. Again, that's Venerable Bede. So was it actually the Jutes in Kent? Is it, or is it just Bede's understanding of that time and the history that's being passed down to him? It's a really interesting one to try and figure that one out. Would love a book list, reading club. Maya, what period are you looking at? What would you like to do? I can suggest some good books. If you are patient, I can pull them off my shelf and show them so you could have a look. And I could try and do a reading club, but it might be a podcast. But I don't know if I have time to add that into the mix. Just I can definitely suggest books though. So if you tell me what period you're interested in or what books that I think are really good, I'm happy to suggest some. Are you interested in the Old English language? I'm Mark the Mercian, according to Dark. Okay, I'm kind of interested. The thing is, I if I was going to learn a language, I'd learn a modern language. Because obviously that would help me with my tour guiding. I love looking at Anglo-Saxon root words. I love etymology. So like where words come from. That for me is a real passion. I tried to learn Anglo-Saxon years ago, but the books were just inaccessible without having a teacher. So maybe in passing at university, I might do a module in it, or like I might talk to someone who could teach me something. But etymology is what I'm really interested in, rather than like trying to learn Old English. If you'd like to drop me a message, by the way, obviously it's Alex Isles UK on Facebook, and I'd love to chat to you if you've got good resources or you think there's something that I would really like benefit from looking at. Please send it to my like Alex Isles UK or drop me a message because if you go into the YouTube channel, all of my contact details are there from like email address through to like my Facebook page or and stuff like that. And just drop me a message because I'm always wanting to learn more. I am so this is one of the things I once did some work with another company and they know their stuff, they're good. But one of the guys made a mistake and he put up a sign saying, I'm an expert on this period. And when he put up a sign, another guy came along and walked up to him and said, Oh, do you know about this? And he goes, Oh, yeah, I know about that. And then he asks him a really specific question. And that guy was doing his PhD in that specific question, whereas my friend was a tour guide. So I never call myself an expert because when you call yourself an expert, suddenly someone walks along and you get, like someone with two PhDs in medieval glasswork from 1450 to 1455, and they know their stuff so well that they are an expert. I will always be more, you know, more broad base. I'll know a lot about everything, but I'll try and, well, I might be specialized in some stuff. So obviously my knowledge on Northumberland and Hadrian's Wall and stuff like that is always going to be greater, but I'm going to know a lot about a lot of things. I've had Jackson Crawford suggested to me again, the North American gentleman with a cowboy hat who walks around in the mountains talking about Old English. He's an interesting guy. But again, I don't always find time to watch other videos to learn more. I should look into it a bit more, but often I'm either creating or reading the source books and stuff like that, so I can create more content here. And when I do watch YouTube, it's for pleasure, to be honest. And I have my own channels that I follow because I really love their content. So I'm a bit of, when it comes to my own YouTube watching, it's quite geeky what I watch, just because it's my downtime, the time to empty my own head, rather than it being history. But I will look into it, and I've seen his stuff. I'm subscribed my Alex Isles UK channel because I have my own personal channel which I watch my own stuff on. But my Alex Isles UK channel, I'm subscribed to Jackson, and I need to sit down and watch some of his content. But yeah, definitely. I like the idea, but I don't know what modern language I'd learn. Yeah, I've seen that one. I'm guessing, I'm presuming that's your book, Eagle Has Fallen. But I've seen it around, actually advertised. I'll put it on my watch list and quickly chuck it into my watch list, actually. When you say the Lost Legion, which Lost Legion are you referring to? Because you do know the Ninth Legion was pulled out of Britain, ended up in the Netherlands, and then was disbanded, right? One of my favourite eaglers from Brian Young. Hello. Yeah, when it comes to historical fiction, I actually enjoy a series called the Bakari series, written by one of my friends, Francis. And shameless plug for Francis's books, but he's written some fantastic stuff on on the Middle East, especially on like the wars between like Parthia and Rome or Persia and Rome and all of that stuff. But he also did a series about a group called the Bakari, and he did some really cool writings about them. Just a question, I don't know if I've noticed this or not, but is there a delay between what I'm saying and when the messages pop up? Might be a delay, but I don't know. The Ninth Legion. No, it wasn't. Okay. We might agree to disagree. But the Ninth Legion was so battered, it was basically disbanded. It wasn't destroyed in Britain. It was no, wasn't it destroyed in Syria? A Vexillion was destroyed in Syria, but it was so under strength that they basically replaced it with the Sixth Legion. Isn't that correct? The Ninth Legion battered in Britain, withdrawn to the Netherlands, then sent to Syria, then destroyed in Syria, and then never refound, reestablished, you know. That's my understanding. Because I've seen arguments about this, like the Ninth Legion was destroyed by the Picts in Scotland, and you're like, it wasn't. When you go to York, check out the archaeology there. I will do. Test. Well, I've said Yaz the Cookie Thief. I've just seen your test pop up, so that tells you how much of a delay there is. Ah, good stuff. Well, if you can give me an idea of how long the delay is, that would be useful. I will have a look in York. I've been to the York Museum. 3 to 4 minute delay. Wow. Okay. That would make a lot of sense then. Because sometimes I'm answering your questions quite a bit after you've said them, and I apologize for the delay then. I'm directly using Streamlabs, by the way, so I'm sorry there is a delay there, but maybe it's just a buffering to keep it all working. But yeah, I'll have a look in York, but as I understand it, um, in York, what happened, and I may be wrong, is that the Ninth Legion was moved up from Lincoln. It was established there. Then it was very badly battered in the war in Britain. So Emperor Hadrian sent across the Sixth Legion with a new governor. Then the Sixth Legion was there. The Sixth Legion got badly mauled. And so when Septimius Severus came across, he brought a lot of African citizens. And so we see the archaeological layer in York change with a lot of African pottery or African styled pottery. When the African style pottery comes in, we also see an increase in people with Mediterranean genetics and also African genetics in York. But the problem is a lot of it is based on skeletal structure. I find the archaeology based on skeletal structure is a little bit weak, and in fact, if you've watched my videos, I much prefer isotopes, genetics, and burials. So burial goods. I don't like skeletal structure because it feels a wee bit 19th century eugenics science. You can do a little bit of understanding people's genetics and race through cranial structure and through bone structure, but again, it's a little bit of a dodgy science. I wouldn't put too much weight on it. But they found African African structured skeletons in York in the 4th century structures as well. So we think that there was a recruitment to resupply the Sixth Legion from North Africa from the time of Septimius Severus, and then that became a part of the population of Roman York or Eboracum. So that is one of the theories there. But there was definitely in the 3rd century an increase in African influenced pottery. And that's written about by um, Burley. Burley writes about that, and there's also another lady who writes about it as well, who does some really good work on that. Very, very good paper. Trying to remember the name of it. Sorry, I'm just finding it for you. Yeah, I'll have to find that, and maybe if I can, I'll try and put my sources in there because I have cited them before, but I can't find it at the minute. Cool. If there is a 4 minute delay or 3 to 4 minute delay, I'll give it another 5 minutes. So it is 9:22 currently for me. So what I'll do is I'll give it until 26, maybe 28, and then I'll close off the stream so that we can all have the rest of our evening. But is there any more questions? Because apparently there's 9 of you watching, which is good numbers. I watched it go up to 11. I know it's just small numbers, but this is early days. And if I keep doing this, one day we might have 30, 40, 50 people watching the stream, and then maybe 100, and then maybe more of you. But it's just good to know that there are people watching and enjoying this. You've all gone very quiet. Unless you're... Oh, there we go. Been a pleasure. Thanks again, Alex. You are welcome. You are more than welcome. And if there is that much of a lag and I finish the stream before you get to ask your question, drop it in the comments section or drop me an email or something like that because I really want to chat with people, really chat with people and get going. Or if you have a particular topic you'd like me to do. Suggestions are always useful because, sometimes I'm like come home after touring and all of that stuff and I'm a wee bit tired. Uh, okay, okay. Pottery was high. Are you saying there was a drop after AD 120? Because we know the legions were mauled. Like, didn't they lose like 3,000 soldiers or something like that? Yeah, that's what prompted Emperor Hadrian to send the Sixth Legion in. They lost like 3,000 soldiers in Britain. Pretty bad. But yeah, please send me an email about that. No bother, Mayor. No bother whatsoever. Again, more than happy, Baron. Baron Badger, which I love the name, by the way. Badgers are one of my favorite animals. Yeah, that would make sense that the ninth left. But I think they found evidence for the ninth in the Netherlands. Yeah, I'm nearly certain of it. They found evidence of the ninth in the Netherlands, and then the remainder of the part of the Legion was then sent to Syria, where it was destroyed. I don't think I'm going mad. I swear I've read that somewhere, and I have also studied it a wee bit, but um, um, cool. Just another minute or two, and then I'll draw it to close. By the way, I'm not trying to. Eagle has fallen. I'm not trying to argue with you in any way. If you've got sources, please send them in, and I'll have a look. Archaeology from the first Anglo-Saxon invaders here, 450 to around 600, would be nice comparisons and similarities. I'll see what I can do. There's actually some good stuff in Lincolnshire that I need to look at, and I will see if I can find it. Again, it's all a question of, when's the cultural shift in technology, and I'll look into that. Uh, Skull, naked area, south of wall, supposedly named as Scots dancing. Any ideas? It could be the battle stone. I'll have a look at that. Tile stamp was found in Nijmegen. Next stream. Yes, I will put a post about, first of all, Tika. I will try and find out information about that. It sounds like the Battlestone, but I'm not entirely certain. But I do have a video on the Battlestone, which covers a conflict between Scots and English people around this hill behind me. In fact, the Battlestone is just here, just there, below Yevering Bell, and it's a Bronze Age standing stone. So if you look in my videos, you'll see that, and that might be a reference to the battle stone. Glad that I'm not mad, and there was a stamp found in Nijmegen. Relieving to know that I actually can remember my information. And yeah, I will put a post about the next stream once I have decided on the date, just so that we can build a wee bit more of traction for it. But yeah, if you can make noise about it when I do make the post, share it with your friends, bring people along, stuff like that. It's always nice. Final phase cemeteries in Northumberland would make a good subject. When you're saying final phase, what do you mean by that? Because it would that would help. Because I don't know what you mean by final phase. Are you talking end of the Anglo-Saxon period, or are you talking about end of the Roman Iron Age, or final phases in the end of the world is coming up shortly? That would be helpful, if you don't mind. I'll wait a second, just to see if you post your answer. But I do need to wrap up the stream. Cool beans. Odric, if you'd just like to drop me a message on the Alex Isles UK Facebook page or on the or on my email, happily respond, and I'll do it in the next couple of days, if not tomorrow. So everyone, it has been absolutely fantastic speaking to you all. I do have to say, if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do. Share the videos with your friends, and if you would like a guided tour, I also do provide them as well. So if you ever want a tour, I'm happy to do that for you. But I hope you've had a wonderful evening. I definitely have, and I've really enjoyed it as well. But just stay safe and well. Have a lovely night with your friends and families, and I look forward to speaking to you in the near future. Until then, though, stay safe and well, and bye. And you can see right there, that's the benefit of being able to edit your videos. If you stumble, you can edit it out.